So let's say you're just a random person on Google who wants to find out who the fastest typist in the world is. And so you search up fastest typist in the world, and you hit enter. The first article that comes up is from Wikipedia, and you can see in big black letters, the name is Barbara Blackburn. You also see the Ultimate Typing Championships here, a video with Barbara Blackburn, and some other articles that will mostly be referencing some typists, including Barbara Blackburn and a couple others. This is a big problem, not only because one, it isn't accurate, but two, as the typing community, we want to be able to actually show the potential of typing. We want to show, but more importantly, what typing max capacity and all that stuff, and who the fastest typist in the world really is. And most of these articles, for example, in Wikipedia or in the Guinness Book of World Records, are really inaccurate because one, they're outdated, so they're not actually giving us proper information. They're only taking it from a small sample source. And two, most of the stuff that they're claiming in this article just simply isn't right. Like, they're saying that you can max out at like 216 words per minute, and that this is the fastest speed that was ever achieved. So most of these claims that these articles are making are wrong. As the typing community, we need to be able to try to fix this, and this is going to be really important moving forward. So let's get into it. So first of all, I'm going to start off by talking about who the internet thinks the fastest typist in the world is. And obviously you can see here it is Barbara Blackburn. And according to this article, the fastest typing speed ever of 216 words per minute was achieved by Stella Pajunas-Garnian from Chicago in 1946 in 1 minute, so in a 1 minute test, on an IBM Electric using the QWERTY keyboard layout. And as of 2005, writer Barbara Blackburn was the fastest English language typist in the world according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Now there's a few problems here. First of all, we can see that it's as of 2005 and it's 1946, which are very outdated in this day and age. But the second thing we hear is that it's a 1 minute test, I'm assuming, for both typists. And I also think that if we search it up here, fastest type in the world, there's many sources that will say that Barbara Blackburn got 212 words per minute. And for short, it just says shorter periods. I'm assuming shorter periods means the 1 minute typing test. Okay, so knowing this, is 260 words per minute, or is 212 words per minute the fastest in the world for 60-second tests? And the obvious answer is no. While 216 words per minute is very impressive, it is not by far the fastest typing test in the world. Sean Rona was the first typist, in fact, to be able to get 220 words per minute on the 10 fast fingers 1 minute test. And after him, there were many typists who were able to surpass that mark, with typists even going into the high 230s. So yes, 216 words per minute, very good score. I couldn't even come close to be able to beat that. But is it the best in the world? Absolutely not. This is very outdated. As to who the fastest English language typist in the world, when we talk about Barbara Blackburn, Wikipedia or in the Guinness Book of World Records, it continually cites her 150 words per minute average over a 50-minute period. Now, this is very impressive, being able to average 150 words per minute over a 50-minute period. But again, is it the best in the world? And the answer to this, again, is no. Shanarna got, I believe, somewhere in the 170s for a similar 50-minute test. And nowadays, we have, on the hour test on Monkey Type, Josh was recently able to get into the 180s. We have a couple other people who got into the 170s. And I'm sure that if it was more mainstream and if lots of the fastest typists in the world started to try the 50-minute test, because no one is trying it basically now, I'm sure many people would be able to get over her score of 150 words per minute. So yes, impressive, but world record, no. And because these are the two biggest things that go for Barbara Blackburn, her 212 words per minute and her 150 words per minute, and both of these can be beaten nowadays quite easily by the fastest typists, we can assume that these articles are inaccurate. But wait, you might ask, didn't Barbara Blackburn get her 212 words per minute on a typewriter? So if we gave her a mechanical keyboard, she'd be able to type much faster? Well, she set this record in 2005. And in 2005, mechanical keyboards had already been along for quite a long time by then. So the fact that Barbara Blackburn chose to use a typewriter over a mechanical keyboard probably signaled that she'd be typing slower with a mechanical keyboard as opposed to using a typewriter. So what this tells me is that, sure, Barbara Blackburn might have had an advantage, but she was just so used to using the typewriter that even if she did have access to a mechanical keyboard to type on, which I assume she did, she chose not to because she would still be able to type faster with the typewriter. Sure, maybe she would have been able to type a bit faster with a mechanical keyboard, but given that she chose not to, we have to assume that the difference wouldn't be very substantial. Now, how do we solve these problems going forward? I don't think that there's much hope in terms of the Guinness World Records, for example, because Guinness World Records has never really been accurate in records. They used to be the gold standard for record keeping in a few years past, but now they've basically become the organization for silly records that no one would actually really try in real life, like how many hamburgers you can stuff in your cheeks in a 10-minute time period. So yes, Guinness World Records, they're not going to be accurate. I don't think the typing community has any hope of being able to influence them to name a new record holder. In fact, when Sean Rona did set the 170 words per minute on the 50-minute test, Guinness World Records refused to put in their book simply because they didn't have people there to actually verify their typing tests. And I don't think that someone like Chalk, who hasn't even told anyone his real name, his location, or anything like that, would be willing to have Guinness World Records people come into his house to watch him do a typing test. I just don't think that's something that's viable. So I don't think that Guinness World Records has any hope, that the typing community should have any hope in Guinness World Records in the future. Now let's talk about Wikipedia. Now obviously on Wikipedia you can edit articles, but just people I don't think have wanted to spend the time doing that. And I think that we actually need to start updating the information that is going around in these typing articles, because they talk about how you can only max out at 212 words per minute, and that's basically the human peak for typing. Now, when I was younger, I totally believed that. I thought that no one can go faster than 212 words per minute because that's what the Wikipedia article said, until I saw some people doing tests, and then I said, oh no, they have to be botters. They have to be botters, because how in the world would you get over 212 words per minute? And again, this totally depends on the length of test, but I've been able to surpass this on several tests, really close on the 15-second test. Many people have been able to surpass this on the 60-second test. So no, 212 words per minute, there's no max at all to typing. Taryn has been able to go 400 words per minute on a short quote. So the fact that this Wikipedia article has stated that, oh, the max is 212 words per minute is really a big problem for the typing community that we need to actually fix. Because lots of people are just being framed as botters if they do go over these speeds. But also some of the stuff that they talk about, like alphanumeric entry, or how typing tests are focused on the amount of numbers that you can type in this period of time, as opposed to real languages today. Because for a while, it was your typing speed or how good of a typist you were dependent on how many numbers you could type, which is something that is completely outdated today, and no one actually does that anymore. So as typing, we need to get people from the typing community, and I know there's lots of knowledgeable people who can update these articles and basically bring them into the modern world of typing, where you have typists like Chalk who can reach speeds of 240 words per minute on 1-minute tests. So yes, as someone who's just coming into the typing community who wants to improve my typing speed, and I search up the fastest typist in the world or the fastest typing test that was ever completed, and I see that, oh, it's Barbara Blackburn using a typewriter, or it's 212 words per minute, and no one can surpass that. These are big problems that we can solve and that actually need to be solved. And it's going to attract a lot more people if we can see that, oh, this person, he's still alive today. He's still doing typing tests today on typing websites. Oh, he's doing the Ultimate Typing Championships 2.0. This is really exciting. I'm really into this. So as the typing community, we need to start solving these problems together, and we need to make sure that instead of Barbara Blackburn showing up in big letters there, someone like Chalk or someone like Sean Rona is instead going up on the front page. Thanks for watching. This is Speed Typing. Type on and type faster.